Ms. Mueller.
Daniella.
Hi, welcome and thank you for joining us here.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's really a great experience after this long COVID time. I'm back to be here again. We had this wonderful experience at the IAA Mobility. I think some of you joined us there, but this is really inspiring. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to have you with us. And I think we'll just start straight off the bat. I think my first question for you would be, if you could share with us from your insights. I mean, you're the head of the VDA, more than 650 companies, suppliers and OEMs. You must have a very specific, broad point of view of what's happening in the automotive industry today, what's going on, what's going to happen, and I'd love it if you could tell us a bit what you think.
Yeah, really, thank you. I think the future is really interesting and bright. I mean, we have a growing population on the world, and transport and mobility is an essential need for all of them. And we now have the duty to make all these ideas of mobility to be more climate neutral, more efficient, more safe, and more comfortable for all these people. And so the German car industry uses a lot on research, a lot of investing in building new plants for example, for the production of electric cars, for the charging infrastructure, and also with hybrid discussions for especially for the heavy trucks and the light vehicles. So we invest up to the next 2 years more than 150 billion euros. That shows you how important it is to change the whole industry. A lot of employees stick to this industry in Germany, and so it's very important for us.
Absolutely, that's an amazing number. You mentioned the climate and environment issues, which now with COP26 in the background in Glasgow, and everybody's talking about it, and the minister just discussed it as well. And it's clear that this is a big issue and a challenge for the near future. And I know that the VDA has put it high on its priorities, and you've made a commitment, I think, to climate neutrality by 2050. Could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing specifically as the VDA and what role you can take and the roadmap you see ahead to getting there, to climate neutrality?
Yes, we are very involved in the discussions in Germany, but also in the European Union, and with the Green Deal, they call it, to make the transport sector neutral. We, as VDA and our member companies, commit to be climate neutral up to 2050. And we are convinced that after 2035, there will be no new vehicles with any CO2 emissions. So this describes, it's a very strong story we have to write, but I'm sure with all these ideas with research and also in combination with all your wonderful ideas, and I had the opportunity in the last 2 days to meet a lot of you, and so thank you, Sham from the Chamber of Commerce here, from the AHK, and my colleague Stefan Reinders who's also here. We met so many connections, so many ideas, and bring a lot of ideas back to Germany, and I'm convinced that all of the tech scouts we have from the greater companies here will do their best, but the VDA also can bring together the small and media companies. As you know, we have in Germany a strong supplier industry, and I think there will be a lot of possibility to work together, so I'm very happy to be here.
Great, we're very happy, as I said, to have you, and I agree. I think Israeli ecosystem has a lot of things to give and offer, specifically in the climate area, and as you say, in electric mobility. Could you give us a little more sort of insight about what's happening today in the automotive industry in Germany about the electric vision? I mean, I know they're all saying 2025, 2030, but as you say, 2035, you believe there will be no more, let's say, ICE cars on the road. How do we get there? It still seems like a dream.
Yes, I mean, we do everything what we can, especially for the private sector, personal cars. The way is electric. In Germany and also in the European Union, we have clear fleet targets, and we decided that is the quickest and best way to go to the CO2 emissions. I'm also open for hydrogen ideas, because I think especially for the heavy truck, and next year, I invite you all, we have the IAA transportation in Hanover, because 30% of the CO2 emissions are coming from these heavy trucks, light vehicles, buses, and so on. It's also very important. But that's only one wing of the reform we have. The other is all the measures you are discussing here, the smart mobility. How make the mobility sector more intelligent, more smarter, to combine this. As I said, we will have a growing population in the world. So it's not only to make the whole production production structure CO2 neutral, make recycling from the whole car, from batteries and so on. There's also a lot of research, but also to make the whole sector. And there we are also looking on the current fleets on the ground. We have in the world 1.5 billion cars, trucks, and so on, and they are mostly driven with combustion engines. So we need also solutions for them when we want to reach the whole goal to make the whole sector neutral. So I think open minds, technology open, that's the best thing we can do in periods like these to our transformation everything. And so even when we are committed to electric cars, we are looking what is happening all over the world, what are other possibilities for the future. And yeah, I think Israel is a country we can learn a lot from.
What do you think about infrastructure? I mean, it's a big challenge for the electric rollout. And what are you doing to promote that? I mean, in Europe and all over.
That's one of the most important points for the customer. And as your minister said, thinking from the customer, what do they need to go to this electric path that is most of all in concrete charging infrastructure. The people in Germany charge at home, where they work, where you buy your things in the public sector and on the Autobahn we have. And so we need a different structure, and we have to develop much more efforts than we have in the moment. I mean, Germany, France and Netherlands have 70% of the whole infrastructure in Europe, but it's not enough really. When we want to have around about 14 million electric cars on 2030, we need to double all our efforts for more infrastructure. And the next thing is that we need renewable energy, power for all these charging stations we have. And I think this could be one of the most critical points. I'm not thinking only about the cities. 60% of the people in Germany are living in landscapes, and we also need to have possibilities because they move to the big cities for their work and so on. And so we need solutions for them, and so we need the infrastructure. It's most of all, it's like with the digitization. That's all these the other possibilities coming from digitization for CO2 reduction, and as I said, for safety and make it more comfortable. So you need a good infrastructure. Maybe you have it here in Israel, in Germany, the broadband and so on. It's not, sometimes it's difficult, yes.
We're also still working on it, but you said there's a lot to be done, obviously, and I'm wondering how, do you think it's more sort of solutions that the market will suggest and you know, supply and demand will give the solutions, or do you think the government has to play a big role here in all we just discussed, the infrastructure, the rolling out? Because I think today most people think, you know, it's the government, you know, you need to create charging spots, you need to create and subsidize, but you could think that maybe, I mean, soon it'll be already, costly efficient, the cars and the infrastructure. So I'm asking if maybe you think if there's more to be done on the government side, or if you think it'll happen on its own in a sense.
I think it's a mixture. We are investing also with companies like Ionity or something like this. We are investing in the infrastructure. But most of all, this is, yes, I think it's a rule for the government, for the municipalities. One thing is to pay for it. The other is to organize it, to make it the whole process more quick and so on, and to look, do we really have an infrastructure that everyone can, everywhere and at every hour he wants to charge his car, that is, he is able to charge it. That's one of the most challenges we have. And so we need, every helping hand is welcome in this.
Yeah, well, it's, in Israel, it's definitely one of the issues. You know, today you can have a charging spot at home only if you have pretty much a private home or, you know, a shared building. But, you know, in the middle of the city, most people don't have where to charge their cars, obviously. And it's one of the big issues that we need to think about and how to solve it. And okay, well, generally speaking, I'm going back to the general view. You know, what would you think, apart from the infrastructure that we just discussed, and maybe a little bit more about digitalization, but are there really the big challenges that we're looking at in the automotive industry? And also, already, I'll ask you the next question about the Israeli contribution. I mean, because as you say, and I think that, as you can see here, even in the exhibition, there's a lot of ideas coming out of here, but where do you think they should be channeled to? I mean, what are we looking for? as you see?
Yeah, I think we really need more of those cooperations, and so I invite you all, please contact us, contact Sham from the AHK to bring us together with concrete ideas. I think the ideas I can see here everywhere for the charging infrastructure, for digitization solutions and so on could be very helpful for the way Germany and the European Union is moving on. And now it's concrete. Bringing the companies together, bringing the ideas from you here to the companies in Germany together. I think there's a huge interest in working together. And so, yes, after the COVID pandemic, now it's not only possible via Zoom meetings or Teams or something like this. Now we can bring people back together. And then I think 1 + 1 is more than 2. And so let us share our ideas, and we can scale. That's our experience we have in the past. We are, I think the German car industry is still one of the most innovative industry we have in the world. And to bring this together with your ideas, it could be perfect. And yeah, let us do this.
It's a perfect match. And I know in addition to your role as president of the DDA, you also serve as the vice president of the German-Israeli Chamber of Industry and Commerce. I know that for many years already you've been fostering these collaborations and joint ventures together. And this is not your first time in Israel, and we hope to have you back a lot. But could you give me a little more sort of the direction you think it'll be going? Where do you see these collaborations taking place? And what can we do on our side, and what can you do to make more of them happen?
Yes, I think one thing is really the huge concerns we have, like the automotive industry, who's here also located in like BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, and so on. Direct cooperation. You have wonderful trend scouts from them here. Join them, contact them. The effort we can do additionally, I think, is really the small and medium companies. And when I'm talking about all the supplier system, that's very interesting, because I think they have a lot of solutions, especially for digitization, and now inventing and all these ideas of electric, hybrid, and so on. And so these, sometimes the small media company, it's difficult to find the right person to talk to. And so this networking is the beginning of everything.
Absolutely. I think we have time for one more question, and I hope it's all right. It's a little bit sort of more personal. Not personal, but you know, the automotive industry is unfortunately, and as we know, associated with being very male-dominated. Okay, and it's great. It's great to see you at the head of the VDA, you know, the largest automotive association in the world, I think. And could you tell me a little bit about how that feels, and could you give some tips maybe to anybody who's kind of looking to make their way up in this industry, and generally speaking, you know, for women?
Yeah, to be open, it is still a more male industry, but it's coming up. I know wonderful women, and I met wonderful women also here from your women's network here in Israel. So thank you for organizing these events. I think at the end of the day, diversity is not a sense in itself. It's helped us to be better. Our consumers are diverse, and so the industry have to be diverse if they want to be successful. And that's what I really want to say with all my experience over all the different branches I have. Companies and industries are diverse, are better and are more successful than other companies. And so you have great women. So contact them, bring them inside all your ideas, and that also, for example, Germany also have to be more international. So we are looking forward to work with you together, and this internationality, this diversity, that makes our solutions for the 7 billion people in the world better. So we are forced to do this.
You're great. Well, I think our time is pretty much up, so thank you very much again. I know you're going straight to the airport from here, so we really appreciate it, and have a safe journey home.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much for the great honor to be here. Thanks.